I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you guys are watching, subscribing, and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate the support. In this video, I want to speak to you guys about anxiety and INFJs. I have done a couple of other videos on social anxiety and other kinds of anxiety in INFJs, but I specifically wanted to focus on anxiety in this video as it relates to it being stored in our bodies. For me specifically, I have noticed that as soon as I start getting anxious about anything at all, whatever it might be, if it's a small source of anxiety or a big one, as soon as I start feeling that source of anxiety, my shoulders start hunching up and getting really tense. And I noticed that because I used to be so unaware of my mind-body connection. It was like that this was it. This was me, that's it, and then the body did not exist for me. But now obviously I'm a little bit more aware, but in the past when I was not aware at all, I would be obviously restricted and I would be congested here and it would be tense. It was so tense that if I went to a massage therapist, he would say that it was literally like rubbing on a piece of or pressing on a piece of rock. That's how hard my shoulders would become with tense and tension and with stress, right? And so they'd be really, really tense and really stressed out here. But because I was unaware of it and I pushed myself beyond my limits and burnt myself out many times, and because I was unaware of this mind-body connection, I was unaware that I have a physical body and I ignored it completely and I pretended like I was not a physical being at all. I just was this. And so because of that, I would get into these modes where I stressed myself out so much and I stored so much anxiety and tension in my shoulders that I would literally start getting back spasms and I would not be able to get out of bed. It was so bad. And I was thinking to myself that I'm in my 20s. What's going on here? I should not be getting such bad back spasms. So much so that I can barely get out of bed. I would have to ask someone to take care of me in terms of give me water or food or feed me or all that, because the minute I moved even a single little muscle, I would just go into this painful phase of just back spasming. I just could not do it anymore. Now, I used to wonder to myself, what is this all about? Am I doing something wrong? Am I sitting wrong? And so I would change the way I would sit at work. I would change my chairs to be a little bit more ergonomic. I would, pretend or try at least to not be hunched over when I'm sitting at work, trying to not be hunched over. And I would do all these random things that were not really the source of the issue. They weren't the real reason why I was getting these back spasms or the real reason why my shoulders were as hard as a rock. It was because of the anxiety that I was storing in my shoulders. Now, different INFJs, I think, will store anxiety in different locations of their body, right? Different parts of their body. Shoulder hunching, I think, is a big one for us because it's a really easy way to protect our heart. And a lot of times when you are when you're walking around the world and feeling threatened or you feel unsafe, our instinct is to curl up into a ball, right? To go into a fierce position. And that's the best way to do it, is to hunch your shoulders and to have your shoulders curled in. So you're protecting this important area, which is your heart and all the other important organs that are stored there, your lungs, your heart, and all of the liver and all that stuff, right? So it's really a good way to protect yourself. Now, of course, we don't want to do that. We want to be open. We want to have shoulders back and shoulders down, right? And so when I started doing yoga is when I really realized the difference between my body and other people's body around me. I noticed that my shoulders were so hunched and they were almost I had no neck. They were almost next to my ears, and obviously they were really tight. And the more yoga I did, the more I relaxed them, the more I removed this source of curling up and expanded, and the more I realized how tense I was in these areas. Now, this is a really good thing for us as noticing it, right? It's important because as soon as you start noticing it and you start becoming more aware of it, you can start realizing when you are becoming anxious. The interesting thing for me is that for me, I don't actually realize when I'm getting anxious. As an INFJ, we're really good at ignoring a lot of stuff that's going on around us, right? So we might have a lot of anxiety producing situations around us, but because we're so strong and we're so good at ignoring a lot of this stuff, blurring it out and just focusing on our work, we might not even think about it. We might forget about it or be able to ignore it. And so what happens is that instead of us dealing with it in our heads and dealing with it in our bodies, we just ignore it and we just pretend like it doesn't exist. But obviously it's still there. It's still causing us anxiety. Just because we ignore it doesn't mean that it goes away. If you stop thinking about your mortgage or the fact that you can't pay your rent next month, it doesn't mean that it just goes away. It's still there and it gets located or it gets integrated into your body, right? And so for me, what would happen is that if I was worrying about something, I'd pretend like it didn't exist. I'd pretend like the issues with my relationship didn't exist, or I would pretend like my money problems didn't exist, or all of that stuff. I'd pretend all that stuff in the past, and then all of it would get located in my shoulders, and then I noticed my shoulders raising up slowly, right, becoming more and more tense. Now, even if I raise them, it feels really awkward. But so as soon as it would start raising, I would start noticing that it's happening. Now, it took a little bit of time to become aware of that. And obviously, yoga is one of those practices that really helped me become aware of this mind-body connection. But now, as I said, the more aware I become, the more I notice instantaneously as soon as it gets located in my body, right? And so I'll notice, oh, my shoulders are getting tense. Oh, my neck is getting tense. Oh, I'm getting a tension headache. Or I'll notice like my toes start curling inwards, or my feet start getting cramps because I'm tightening up my body so much, or my calves start cramping, or my glutes, I'm holding a lot of tension in my bum and I have to let go of that tension, right? My stomach will start gurgling, or I'll start getting digestive issues because I'm holding tension there as well. And so a lot of random things will start happening, not random, but of course feels like random at first until you start paying attention to it. And then I start paying attention and I realize, I see, so I'm feeling anxious about something. And then what I usually do is I start writing. So I'll do a little bit of journaling. As soon as I realize I'm feeling anxious, my best way, for me specifically, has been the best way to deal with it is to write it down. So I'll sit down in a quiet corner somewhere in my room and I'll write stuff down. So I'll be like, all right, what's causing me anxiety here? What am I worried about? Is it this or that? What am I worried about? Am I worried about my parents who are not feeling well? Am I worried about my job? Or am I worried about the next video that I'm supposed to? Am I worried about the fact that I'm not a good writer? Am I worried about the fact that I haven't been in a relationship in a long time? What am I worried about, right? And I'll write down all of it. All of the sources of anxiety that I have, I'll write them down. Now, as time goes on and I become more aware of it, there are fewer and fewer sources of anxiety because as soon as something crops up, I can deal with it, right? I know how to deal with it now. I don't ignore it and put it away into the corner, pretend like it doesn't exist because it'll go away. It won't go away, right? And so I try as much as possible to deal with sources of anxiety as soon as they come up. As soon as something happens, I'm like, all right, cool, something's happening and it's gonna cause me anxiety if I don't deal with it. Let's just deal with it and get it over with. So if it's a difficult conversation that I'm supposed to have, right? And I know I need to have this difficult conversation. I really need to have this conversation with this person. I really don't want to. But what happens is that if I ignore it and pretend like I'm not going to have this conversation, then it's just going to sit in the background like a big boulder or like an elephant in the room, right? And it's just going to sit there and cause me anxiety. So now, as soon as that happens, I'm like, all right, I need to have this conversation. It's not going to go away. I can pretend like it might, but it won't. So let's just do it. And I'll just kind of message that person right away or call them and just deal with it. And as soon as I do, a sigh of relief goes through my body. My shoulders relax, my body relaxes, my stomach, my digestive system relaxes, my bowels relax, right? My feet, my toes, my calves, every part of my body relaxes, my neck. And I feel a source. I just feel so relaxed all of a sudden because I was holding all this tension without realizing it, right? Without realizing that I was holding onto all this stuff, right? As soon as you release it, it goes away. And the main way to release it, again, as I said, I journal about it. And as soon as I realize what is causing me the source of anxiety, I deal with it right away. I mean, right freaking away. Whatever I can do to deal with it right now, I will do something or the other. Or I'll go for a long walk to help relieve my anxiety. Or I'll do a yoga session, or I'll get a massage, some sort of self-care in order to take care of myself and take care of my needs. Now, if it's something that needs some kind of action, then you have to take that action right away in order to deal with that item so that your anxiety goes away. But if it's just a generalized source of anxiety where it's not really specific to anything, you're just feeling anxious and you're like, I don't know why I feel anxious, but I feel anxious. I don't know why, but it's there. And so what you do is you take care of yourself. You go take a long bath, or you take a hot shower, or you go for a long walk, or you hang out with a friend, or you eat something really delicious, or you get a massage, or you do self massage, whatever it might be. Do something to take care of yourself so you can perhaps even just alleviate the source of anxiety just for a few moments. And then as soon as you take care of yourself, and perhaps even just have a glass of water, all of a sudden you notice, boom, it's gone. The anxiety is gone. Just because perhaps it was just a differential in your mind-body connection. There was something missing. And as soon as you took care of your body, it's gone, right? And so I hope this makes sense to you guys. I hope I was able to explain myself to you properly in terms of the generalized anxiety versus the physical anxiety, and how to deal with it, and how to use journaling or self-care routines. It's all really important stuff, because I feel like anxiety is one of those things that really holds INFJs back. We spend a lot of time enamored or mired in anxiety rather than dealing with the situation. And we waste all that energy being mired in anxiety rather than dealing with the situation. So instead of doing our work and living our life purpose, we're spending all of our time sitting in a cloud of anxiety, which is such a waste of our powerful energy and time here. Again, as I said, if you guys have any questions at all, please message me anytime. All my contact information is in the description below. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.